event in life.
True. Yeah. And so you're a Catholic. Oh, I mean, not Catholic, Christian, correct?
Well, they're actually the same thing.
Okay. Well, some people argue that they're different things, right? I mean, I don't know what your thoughts on that, but...
And I love this argument.
Oh, really?
So, just for all the viewers at home, I'll explain it like this. The word Christian refers to anyone who follows Christ, right? And this was a term that the Romans gave to the early church because they were followers of Christ. They were called Christians. However, the early church did not call themselves Christians. That was almost like a derogatory term by the Romans. The early church, when it was founded by the apostles after Jesus Christ ascended, when it was assembled at Pentecost, consisting of the apostles, the remaining ones, and the Blessed Virgin Mary, they call themselves the Catholic Church. Catholic is the Greek word for universal. The reason for this was that this religion, for the very first time probably ever, was a religion that was not based on an ethnicity or a community or one race or group of people, but it was a religion meant for the entire world. The apostles didn't even know that the New World existed. They didn't know about the far reaches of India or Thailand, Australia, the Aborigines, but they knew that these people, wherever they were on the globe, were going to be part of this one religion, that they would be accepted by Jesus Christ as the creator of all things, not just this one people. So they called it the Universal Church, which translates to Catholic, the Catholic Church. So Christian is an umbrella term. After the Protestant Reformation, there used to be only Catholics. It was the only Christian denomination on all of earth. Everybody was Catholic at one point, right? So the term Christian refers to just any kind of Christian. And then beneath that umbrella term, you have Catholics, which are the original Christians, the first Christians, the original church. You have the Orthodox, which are pre-denominational. That means they existed after the schism. They basically consider themselves Catholic. We Catholics consider them Orthodox. But that's a different debate. And then basically every other Christian denomination, Mormonism, Anglicans, Lutherans, Baptists, Methodists, Episcopalians, Pentecostals, these would be called Protestants. And you could say Mormons aren't really Protestant, and that's fair to say. They're really not even Christian technically, but so that's the differentiation. A lot of people, and this is very, what they really mean is, I'm not Catholic, I'm Protestant, and it's basically just made up.
Wow, I did not know any of that, but thank you for informing me, Mr. Lamar.
Of course, man. Of course, man. That's what we're here for.
Of course. This is the open conversations that we should all be having. Anyways. Going back to religion, though, have you read any... Well, actually, just the first Enoch book. Have you read any of that?
Actually, yeah, and I really like Enoch. It's a shame that it's not canon, but...
Hey.
It's not for anybody to decide but the church, but I do like Enoch, actually.
Okay, so do you believe it should be included in the original Bible, I guess?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure the reason that it's not included. I think it's not completely incoherent with, and I just don't know that much about why it's not, like why it's considered apocryphal. But I don't also like the non-Catholics, the kind of like woo-woo spiritualists claiming that the Book of Enoch is like some sort of super important revelation that explores like crazy other stuff, and like that's when they get into like who built the pyramids, the Nephilim, and like some other stuff like that. I don't believe in that, but I do think that Enoch has very interesting and fun stuff in it that it'd be cool if this was real, but the Catholic Church considers it not real.
Yeah, I think only the Ethiopian church actually allows it to be in canon with the Bible.
Yeah, the Ethiopian church also has like, they say like an extra 7 forgotten books of the Bible. They have the original texts before they were modified or whatever. But then you actually take a look at like what the Ethiopians have in that Bible, and like it's kind of, excuse my French, but it's kind of just BS. Like they just got like a bunch of mumbo jumbo in there, and some of it could be real, but I believe that the Holy Spirit, which is guiding the Catholic Church and guided the early church to decide what would go into the Bible, wasn't wrong. So all the extra books that the Ethiopians crammed into their Bible, it's apocryphal. It's just not meant to be. That's not canon. It's literally fanfic. It's fan fiction, So
hey, fanfic. Well, what are your thoughts on the Dead Sea Scrolls then?
Well, so those were real. I mean, that's
Oh, and Enoch's in it.
yeah,
Allegedly the first one.
yeah, yeah. That's why I'm saying I think I'm not really sure why the Book of Enoch is not included. And it's like just same case with the Ethiopian Bible. Before the canonization of the Bible, I mean, people were just throwing whatever they wanted and considering them holy texts into this Bible, right? This collection of scripts, and we're not able to interpret. How do we interpret what is actually divinely inspired, and what isn't? And the only people that had the power to do that was the early church, guided by the Holy Spirit, given the authority by Jesus Christ. And they decided that, for whatever reason, Enoch was not canon. They decided that the other apocryphal books, like the Testament of Mary Magdalene and like the Book of Mary, like they're not included. Or the Book of Sarah, like those aren't real. Book of Judas, they're just not real.
Right. Yeah. I mean, after just looking back at life, like even the Bible itself, how it's not supposed to be edited in any way, but it's probably like the most edited book ever, I'm assuming, because there's so many versions of it. There's like the King James version, different other versions, and it's just like it dilutes the real truth. Even though I am in faith, I just don't know if religion even hits anymore at this point in life.
If it hits, no, it definitely does. Seek and ye shall find, we're told, right? The issue is that a lot of people are, and the devil loves confusion. Satan loves confusion because that creates people, that asks people to question things in a bad way, right? Question their faith, question the actuality and the historicity of God, of Jesus Christ. And it's good, you should question those things, but you also have to research. There's no point in having a question and not finding an answer, right? But a lot of people love, and this is, again, the thing with the people who call themselves Christian, not Catholic, they love questioning and not answering. And so what we have to do is look at it, because there's a very clear answer to the question you're proposing. Has the Bible not been edited tremendously throughout the ages, throughout the centuries? Are there not incredibly diverse amounts of translations, interpretations, transfigurations of the Bible altogether? Yes, there have been. Yes, there are. The question is, are they all true? Which ones are true? Again, it's very, very simple answer here. The original text written in Greek and in Greek and Hebrew, the Old Testament and the New Testament, there's still copies of Mark from within 30 years of Christ's death. So that's regarded as the oldest part of the gospel, or the oldest part of the New Testament. And so we can kind of track down the original pieces from Greek, from Hebrew. Now, St. Jerome actually translated both the Hebrew and Greek parts into the Latin Vulgate, which was found to be perfect and without error. The Latin Vulgate translates the whole thing into Latin. From the Latin Vulgate, we got the first English Bible. Now, of course, there's other languages. The Spanish Bible, I think, predates the English one. There's a French one as well. But the English Douay Rheims, which was written at the College of Douay, at the College of Rheims in France, by English Catholics who were being persecuted for their faith. And that is directly translated from, like I said, the Latin Vulgate, which is found to be without error, which was directly translated from the Hebrew and Greek texts, which are the original texts. From there, after the Protestant Reformation, we have all of these new translations. There's a couple that are still pretty good, but a lot of them, some of them were revised by the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, which, as you know, is like a Jewish strong arm of allowing what can be said and what can't be said. So, I'm not going to read a translation of the Bible that's been edited by Jews who hate Jesus. That's ridiculous, right? So, there's examples like that. The King James Version, for example, which, fun fact, Shakespeare helped to translate some of it. There's some really cool stuff about it. And I don't mind the King James Version. It's fun sometimes, especially when you're arguing with Protestants to use their version. But it's just an inferior version of the Bible compared to the Douay Rheims.
Mm-hmm.
Just Catholic.
In the King James Version, I heard that it, in the text, that it doesn't mention God like God. Instead, it just says Lord. And I believe for also Jesus, but I could be wrong. But I heard that that's what it is.
No, I think it says God.
Does it? Because I'm pretty sure they, at the time, since they they had lords all around them in their royalty family. They wanted to like translate that with the Bible. So I guess for English people to, I guess, relate to it, maybe.
I mean, I can go get my copy right now. I'm like 90% sure they must include God. Right?
Prove me wrong, or we could see the truth. That.
All right.
I'm down.
Well, I mean, let me just look it up real quick.
Or yeah, you
can
just
do that. Does the KJV use the word God
or Lord?
Lord to refer to Christ?
I can tell you for sure. I believe in the Book of Enoch. They don't say Jesus by name. They say the Son of Man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Which is pretty interesting.
A lot of the entire Old Testament and New Testament essentially does refer to Jesus Christ. However, he has so many different names. He's the Lamb of God, the Son of Man, the only begotten Son of God. He is the Lord. He is the Master. There's so many different titles for him. Ruler. And looking at this, yes, it has both God and Lord, just like all the other translations of the Bible. It uses many names for God. Looking at here, it refers to the Father primarily, but it uses Christ, and the Word was God. I mean, that's John verse 1, yeah. Or chapter 1, verse 1. It uses Yahweh exclusively for God the Father. It uses Lord to refer to Jesus Christ. So yeah, pretty standard. It uses both.
Okay, true. I guess they use both. All right. We got it fact checked, and there we go.
That's good. That's good, man. So let me ask you, man, what do you see yourself doing in the next 5 years? Do you think like you're going to continue with this? Is this like a passion project of yours, or you kind of just?
No, yeah, for sure. I'm gonna definitely keep on the independent journalism because I feel like I'm catching a wave right now. So you gotta just keep the foot on the gas, and then in terms of the podcast, I'm still trying to look for a guest. It would have been amazing if you showed up in person. That would have been crazy.
I might still. I am going back to visit in September or August. I'm just not sure about the dates, and if everything will line up.
Okay.
So, but yeah, keep that on the back burner. This is good too, though. It's like a pre-interview, just clip it, edit it however you want. I'll repost it. I'll collab with you on Instagram and
hey, that's what I like to see.
Take off. Did you edit your videos? Do you know how to edit them?
So okay, with the podcast, I like to just keep it unedited as a full one conversation take. If that makes sense. And then with the clips, obviously, just cut up the important parts. That's the only editing I really do.
That's good, man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yes, sir. And then look, as a webcam, I don't know if I can show you, but it's like an Osmo Pocket 3. I don't know if you heard of those cameras.
No. It sounds pretty tough, though. Sounds cool.
Dude, it's like a crazy, amazing vlogging camera. It records 4K, 60 frames per second, or 120 frames per second. It's pretty nice.
Nice, man. That's cool.
Yeah. So, you are 26 as of right now, or 27?
25.
20. Oh, 20. Wow, I'm older than you. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was. I'm younger than my class, graduating class.
Oh wow. Okay. Shout out Isleta, by the way.
Yo, big Y.
Big Y. Do you have any kids? Are you married? Divorced?
Nope.
Nothing like that?
No.
Are you looking for a wife? Anything like that?
Yeah, aren't we all?
Well, I mean, true. I mean, gays probably look for similar sex, but I mean, I see. No, I'm kidding.
I was like, what?
But well, what do you think about people in our age group having kids already and settling down?
I think hold on. I think there's a bit of an echo.
Oh,
I can hear myself.
For real? How about now?
Yeah, I can
I'll turn on the volume.
No, okay, yeah, it's gone.
Okay. How about now?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, bet.
No, you're good. You're good. A good question. Yeah. So I think honestly, and I've made videos on this. The average age of marriage throughout, like the average throughout the last like 2,000 years of history, has been 14, which I know sounds crazy. 14 is very young. Obviously, times have changed, and that's not really allowed anymore. But
Yeah.
on the other end of that, like that's like the lowest. Well, that's the average. That's the average age. So there was a lower age in other times. And there was arranged marriages, of course. Like you'd be like arranged to your cousin at 12, whatever, or a 25-year-old would be like marrying his 16-year-old cousin, etc. Right? Fire. But with the changing times, we also have in the other direction where when we look at patterns in history, especially times of strife, of conflict, of revolution, such as before the French Revolution, the Spanish Civil War, the English Civil War, the American Revolution, we see that as times get difficult and shaky and the political kind of like social structure of a society is kind of on unsteady ground. We see that probably before the collapse of Rome, we see that the age to marry becomes older and older. Usually around 28 to like 30 is when we see a major revolution or war, some major shift in the instability of that society. And you can pretty much trace like every major war like that too, which by the way, we're overdue. We're not only overdue for a war in that sense, tracking it that way through marriage, but in other aspects as well. So I think, and right now the average age of marriage is like 28. So we're not looking too great, and the average age being 28 is also horrendous. I love to see young couples getting married young. People say it's irresponsible, but they make all these excuses for why you should be a whore later into your life, especially for women. We don't really have a society that values chastity, virginity, purity anymore. It's very sad, and we see this because of the disconnect of the church, of God, in people's daily lives. People have become wayward, they've become worldly, and they love the flesh. That is the greatest, probably the worst sin of all, is chasing carnal pleasures, fleshly pleasures of sex. Yeah. And so I really like to see people getting married young, waiting until they're married to have sex. And that's how it should be. That's how it usually had been in high Christian societies. So that's my take on it. I think people getting married and having kids at our age, you're already late. You're already pretty late. It might be over for me. I'm already 25. I'm basically
No, don't say that.
No kids, no wife. Low-key over, and I'm probably going to die in the next 6 years. No kids, no kids.
Whoa.
But
why do you say that?
Nothing ever happens.
All right, true.
Well, that's kind of the beauty of it, is that in human history, like the average age, as Mishima says, I don't know if you're familiar with Mishima. He says that the average age to die in the Bronze Age was 18, right? The ancient Mycenaeans, the classical Golden Age Greeks, not really the Bronze Age, but they died at 18 in war, in combat, doing glorious and great deeds, exploring the world, right? In the Roman age, the average age of death was 22. Again, imperial conquests of the Roman Empire going throughout the world, doing great and heroic things, and they died very young. He says heaven must have been beautiful then. We see that during the Napoleonic era, the famous quote is that you're not a real trooper if you live past 30, right? And most men did die around 30 in combat, in war, in glorious fighting, but they had kids. They were already married. 30 was kind of like old for them. Right, and in our decrepit, disgusting age, the ideal, the goal in a lot of these people, the sparkle in their eyes is flushed out by the artificial lights over them as they sit in the hospital bed covered in white polyester sheets with no children surrounding them. They're old, decrepit, dying of like liver cancer, and they're 76, and they wish and they pray to God that they could live just a little bit longer so that they could order more packages from Amazon, so that they could eat more Goislov from Panda Express. And it's like, really, these people, and it's sorry to say this, but it's sad, but they have done nothing with their lives. They have squandered what God has given them. They have wasted away at nothing. They're lucky if they even had kids. They're lucky if their kids turn out well and good. God bless them, and may they turn out well. But for the average person, this is what they're hoping and longing for, unknowingly, right? They are happy being a retarded boy cattle slave. And just like an animal in a farm, it eats its slop. A little pig will run, eat its slop when it's fed. It goes, it bakes in the mud, it slimes around in the mud, has sex, has children, and that's it. It has no thought for doing anything else. And I'm sure you've heard before, probably many philosophers like Aristotle and others have said that 80% of the population in any given human society deserves to be enslaved. And it's hard to say this. This is a hard saying. How can any man believe this? But you look around for just any amount of time. You go to these big cities like New York, LA, Denver. You look around and you think, wow, yeah, maybe 80% of you should be enslaved. And every great empire practiced slavery, from Greece to Rome to Egypt to America to you name it. Any great civilization practiced slavery. It's hard to say this. How can any man believe this? But it's hard to argue with the facts that slavery seems to be a constant and beneficial thing for a great society. I don't know.
Right. Wait, hold on, but we went a whole tangent, but I want to go back to the whole your thoughts on life, actually, because from what I've understood from you is like it seems like we were destined to like marry young, have kids young, and then I'm not sure what the rest of the life, or die, right? And then that's basically it, and then afterlife. But now, you know, we're not really in imperial wars like that. We have military wars, but we can't really do shit. We're just here, you know? So, since I don't think you want kids, right?
Wait, what? Sorry?
That, you don't really want kids as of now, right? So...
Oh, I want so many kids. I want 12 children, actually.
Oh, okay. But you did say that it is a little late to have kids, or...
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, by my standards, yes. To give you the context of my worldview, right? Like, the Blessed Virgin Mary and Saint Joseph were 14 and approximately 5 years age. Yeah, maybe 18, 20, approximately. Some historians disagree, whatever. My great-grandfather, who fought in the Spanish Civil War, came to Texas, and his daughter, my grandmother, was one of 12 children, right? So, and by no means was he a rich man. He was fleeing he fought for the nationalists in Spain, for Franco's side. So even after in victory, a country destroyed and in ruin, he had to come to Texas, start all over. He had a bar and an ice cream store. Had 12 children, despite not being a rich man, despite being basically dirt poor. My grandma talks about how they used to eat pigeons and rice.
Wow.
Pretty funny. He would go shoot pigeons for them. But 12 children, and back in those days, you know, like, I guess in the 40s, 30s, like, even still then, there was, like, a high mortality rate for infants. So, like, several of her siblings did die young. But I guess the point is, like, throughout all of human history, people have married young, had children young. What reason would there be to wait longer? And the only reason is a lack of resources. If you were a millionaire, okay, maybe not millionaire, if you had, like, a pretty decent amount of money, $500K a year, a nice salary, whatever.
Yeah.
At the age of 18. At the age of 18, you have a trade, you have your life established. What reason would there be to not have children, to not be married? And of course, in a materialistic, atheistic society that tells you that committing to one woman, and having children is like a death sentence, obviously that's different. But that's just not the worldview I believe in. That's just not what I subscribe to. I believe in having children young, getting married young, following a beautiful Christian faith, bringing children into this world, and delivering them in the Catholic faith so that they may one day go to heaven. That's what I believe in.
Okay. So let's say you were to meet a woman that would just have to be the guaranteed one and done for marriage, and, you know, God forbid a divorce, obviously, you know?
Well, were it so easy, right? Were it so easy, I would have already done that like 10 years ago.
Right.
When I was 15, right? And just not that simple, unfortunately. As anybody will tell you in this generation, and I've made videos on this. This is something I have studied extensively. I'm probably like the leading foremost expert on this, but the so-called dating crisis, right? The incel crisis, the male loneliness epidemic. It is real. It is a real thing, unfortunately. And like I said, this is a pattern, a wave that we've seen throughout history, leaning towards what is probably a large climactic event in the next I don't know, 10 years. They've been saying that for a long time, but some sort of large climactic event like a civil war, a world war, something big, right? And these are real phenomenon that keep it, unfortunately, very difficult to marry young. Oh, also, like the resources in terms of money and wealth. The economy's kind of in the toilet right now. Everything's crazy expensive.
Gas.
Anybody who's been looking for a job or trying to get a job, get a degree, have a career, they can tell you how difficult it is compared to our grandparents, parents who had it so easy. And all of these things make it difficult.
You think they had it easy though?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, it's
disgustingly easy.
But I mean, we can't know that for sure. I mean, we could just hear their stories. I mean, why do you think it was easy?
This is very well documented. I mean, this is just a simple, and obviously this doesn't go for everything, but one of the simple things we can look at is the price of a house. Obviously, the price of a house doesn't speak for all the quality of living, but for example, that's like one of the biggest commodities that you need right now. It's like one of Maslow's hierarchies, like one of the essential needs is shelter. And most people today can't even have a house. They're telling us to live in apartments, to live in pods, and to just like it. In San Francisco, they have co-op living spaces where you have like 7 or 8 dumb little hippies living together in a 2-person bedroom apartment, right? It's horrendous. But you look back at, the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, basically the in the golden age of America after the war, the price of a house compared to a person's income, I can't remember exactly the numbers, but they had houses going for like $3,000, like in like crazy like low payments, crazy low down payments compared to the person's income. Whereas today, on average, you would need to save something like 10 years worth of like your income, something like that, to be able to afford the down payment on a house. Whereas like the down payment for a house, like back in the 60s, couldn't even afford a Wendy's like Frosty at the airport now. Like, I'm exaggerating, but that's pretty much how it is.
Yeah, but I mean, their income wasn't that much either, cause
it's true. Yeah, no, their income was less, but the difference is that their money was worth more. It had buying power. So like a dollar has always been $1, but the buying power of a dollar, like milk and eggs used to be pennies. They used to be like 10 cents. You go to the store now, milk is like $5 a gallon. Eggs are like $8 for a carton. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, we still have the same dollar, right? But it's worth less, and everything is worth more. And it's continuing as we've gotten, further along from the 60s to the 50s. The prices of things, the value of things, right? Everything's Chinese now. Everything's made in Temu. I mean, made in China, Temu, Shein. Like, even the clothes we wear is bullcrap compared to what they had.
Of course, because they were naturally made, handmade, all that good stuff.
Beautiful. I remember like my mom, my grandma used to make my mom's dresses for school.
Oh, wow.
And that used to be the normal in America. That used to be the norm. People used to make their own clothes for their daughters. They even used to make it out of like sacks, like vegetable sacks, which were made from like linen fibers and like jute fibers. And so they made for like easy, cheap clothes. And things are different now.
Whoa,
what else who changed?
What are you drinking there? Oh shit! What is that?
Oh, Rossi. I prefer sangria, but it's Shanti. It's red wine.
Wow, you're really drinking wine. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you drink any other like liquor or beer?
I have an unusual relationship with alcohol, actually, and beer. I never believed in drinking. I never believed in drinking, like, all throughout high school and college. Yeah. Like, I never believed in drinking, doing drugs, anything like that.
Same.
Like, everyone kind of hated me for that. My girlfriends hated me.
Oh, wow.
For not drinking, right? Not really hated, but, like, they didn't like that. They thought I was, like...
Weird.
I don't know. Goody two-shoes. I just really didn't like the feeling of being intoxicated, of being out of my senses, of being, like, dumber than I already was. And as I got older, so even when I was 21, I still hated drinking. I hated the feeling of being drunk. There's like a bunch of funny stories about that. But when I started snowboarding, like 2 years ago, my friend Keeney, shout out Keeney.
Shout out to him.
He got me into drinking like a bottle of Jack Daniels, like mixed in with like Powerade or whatever when we were snowboarding.
Yeah.
And what it did was it allowed us to stay warm in like the frozen wastes that is Wyoming. And so snowboarding, you feel warmer, but you also are more confident. You're not as afraid of falling down. You feel less pain.
You're loose.
You're a little more. Yeah, exactly. You're kind of loose. You're okay with falling. It doesn't hurt. You're not afraid of going down humongous hills. It helps so much, and it was so fun that I started to associate, snowboarding with drinking, and drinking with having fun, and having fun with drinking. And I started to kind of like it. And it's since then I've become a serious alcoholic, probably a problem, low key. But I think that for certain men, right, like Hemingway and other great men, Alexander the Great, my biggest hero, was a super alcoholic, and I think that it can be a good thing. Some men can lose their minds, and this walking between worlds for them is not really a scary thing, but an act of becoming. Whereas the average person, and I say this all the time, I was at a party on the 4th of July with like my coworkers, and oh my gosh, I was like, half of you niggas should never be allowed to drink ever again. Like, they are retarded without the alcohol, and the alcohol makes it worse for them. So it's, yeah. And I don't like beer, for the record, to answer your question. I love alcohol. I'll drink any kind of alcohol. My favorite is probably sangria, red wine. I like whiskey, but I don't like beer at all. I think beer is retarded and gross.
No, oh really? What about like organic beer, like Pineapple Ace beers? Or is it just the same?
The IPAs and all that, like special stuff. I don't know what it is. I just don't like beer at all. I don't like the taste. I don't like the feeling. By the way, fun fact for your audience here. Every alcohol has a unique and different profile in the way that it affects a person. So, and I don't know all the research on it. You'd have to look more into it. I've only done my very surface level research. But, for example, red wine, people report like being lively. Some women, almost every woman has told me that they get really horny after drinking red wine. Like, I don't know, maybe because I'm already like a super high test alpha male, always horny. It doesn't do that to me. I do feel lively and like jovial.
Right.
So maybe there's a connection there. But whiskey obviously is more of a pensive drink. A lot of thinkers and studied men will have like a little bit of whiskey. Vodka, because it's so clear and pure of an alcohol, it basically doesn't do anything but get you drunk. But for whatever reason, beer and moonshine have this effect on me where I feel retarded. I feel stunted. Like I like drop 50 IQ points.
Really? Is it like, are you drinking, heavy amounts of beer back then, or was it like?
I've never drunk heavy amounts of beer. I just like 2 or 3 beers is like awful to me.
Interesting. Because like the difference of percentages of like compared to moonshine, you could tell like, yo, that shit's gonna get you fucked up. But beer is like in smaller amounts, right? Theoretically.
Yeah. So beer, generally, of course, beer is gonna be like 5%, 8% ABV generally. The difference, like I said, though, it's something else. It's not just the alcohol. There's other things in it. I haven't done very much research into it, but there are things that affect how the alcohol makes you behave. And for me, maybe not for everybody, but beer, I think beer makes you an absolute fat retard. And there's also like the claim that because it's made with wheat has a lot of phytoestrogen that's highly estrogenic, and it also makes you a fat gay retard.
Oh.
And, yeah.
Okay. So then what about women that drink beer? What does that make them?
Gross.
Gross, for real?
Well, no, not really gross. I think throughout, especially like if we look at periods of history where clean water wasn't available, drinking was like a communal and normal thing. You'd have like families of children and women drinking beer. Of course, back in the medieval period, it was watered down. It was not nearly as strong as the stuff we have. And the stronger stuff like wine was reserved for actual drinking and like partying and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's necessarily, and there was basically a different kind of beer altogether back then. Very different from like the estrogenic crap we have now. The slop, goy slop, really.
Goy slop.
That it like poisons. Because alcohol really is a poison. It literally is a poison. Not to say that some negative or poisonous things can't have good positive effects on the body, but too much of a good thing is bad. And in the case of beer, especially, I don't think that women should be drinking. I don't think women should be drinking beer. I don't think really men should be drinking beer. But modern beer is quite different, and Yeah, there's just something kind of like women, I guess, could drink a beer if they wanted to, but it's kind of there's something kind of like gross and trashy in my mind about
Right.
associating women with beer. It's kind of gross.
Okay, so what if she's drinking like a martini or, mojito? That more accepted?
Something classy.
Something more classy.
Yeah. I mean, definitely kind of spruces it up a little bit. I think that could be classier, but the problem is, and this comes down to like the idea of hangovers. Now, as I said, I'm a pretty heavy drinker. I mean, there was a time like last year I was pretty much drinking every day.
Wow.
And I see it as it's almost, and in many contexts, it can be a religious experience. I mean, we literally drink wine as part of the Eucharist for Catholic Mass.
Yeah.
And it has been a sort of religious, spiritual, and social inebriation throughout history, not just a fun time. But I think a lot of the mistakes that people make is their intentions when they go in drinking. Some people drink to forget. Some people drink to be loose, to
forget about something.
it lowers your inhibition.
Yeah.
Right. And my primary reason for drinking has always been to have fun, to snowboard, to party, to whatever, right? But
right.
I've never experienced a hangover, and there's some theories as to like why that could be.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. And there, like, usually when we used to like go out and party, I'll meet my friends. We'd go out to the clubs and bars, whatever. We'd get home at like 2 a.m, and I'd be the first to wake up. I'd wake up at like 5 or 6, feeling totally fine, like pretty good actually. And it depends on like how your body breaks down the alcohol.
Right.
Some people's liver, kidneys, whatever, they work a little bit faster than others. Some people need to eat food with it, I guess. Some people don't process a certain alcohol as well as other alcohols. Like you'll hear about how tequila like ruins people, just wrecks people.
Oh, really? That's like actually my go-to.
Tequila?
Yeah. For some reason, it's just smooth to me.
Yeah, man. It's all a matter of like what your body kind of prefers or allows or expects of you. But I've never experienced a hangover.
Okay, so I have a question on that. I have a question. So, like, what are your drink choices? Like, I'm assuming you don't get any sugary drinks, so that's maybe helping not getting a hangover.
It could be that. I've heard that as well, and that's true. I don't like mixed drinks that have like a bunch of bullcrap in them, or like.
So no cocktails at all.
Not really. No. I think does like an AMF or like a trash can count as a cocktail? It's got Red Bull in it. That's a little bit of sugar, but generally not. And sangria is made with like fruit sugars. Like there's fruit in sangria. It's my favorite alcohol. So.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm not sure what it could be, honestly. Not everybody always experiences hangovers. I think hangovers I thought they were kind of a myth, like some boomer myth about like drinking, but some people get them pretty bad, I've known. And
I've gotten a couple, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. And they're different. Everybody experiences, I think they're kind of different for everybody. Some people get like sick and nauseous, and people have a headache. As a pretty heavy drinker myself, I've maybe experienced a mild headache when I wake up. But it's usually because I feel like I just haven't drank enough water. I'll just drink some water and I'll be fine. And
yeah, probably.
For some people I know it like takes them out.
Yeah, like they'll take the whole day off. Like, yo, I gotta recover.
Yeah, seriously. And I'm like, yo, we gotta get back to the party, man.
Although I
I
will say, like, I'm not a huge drinker, so if I do drink, I actually do need like a day off, because I don't know, it just hits me, you know.
Yeah, that's understandable. Like I said, there's like different intentions in drinking, right? Some people are drinking to have just kind of a fun night, and after the night's over, it's back to the normal daily grind.
Yeah.
I've always kind of viewed alcohol as a tool, like caffeine or nicotine, to explore kind of different, I guess, not necessarily states of mind, but kind of states of mind. Like when I'm tired and I need to really be focused, locked in, or I need a lot of energy. Caffeine, man. Caffeine is so beautiful and so amazing that it can change a rough, bad day into a beautiful, awesome day. I love the caffeine high that you get after like being super tired, being super kind of like in a bad mood, negative and like just drained. Like 1 Celsius, 1 White Monster, and suddenly the world is beautiful. It feels like your eyes open. Like,
well, what about
awesome.
Coffee?
I love coffee. It's probably the best form of caffeine. The problem is, and this is what I'm trying to formulate too. Pretty soon when I get a little more time and money, I'm going to try to formulate the perfect, because I've never seen anybody do this. I'm starting now. I was in New York and I saw a drink that had adaptogens and nootropics in the drink already, like in the energy drink. And I use a coffee like blend that has some nootropics, just lion's mane and I forgot the other one. Cordyceps. Lion's mane and cordyceps, which do support brain function, cognitive ability, but the amounts that they come in are usually kind of small, and there's a lot of other things missing. For example, Celsius. The reason I love Celsius, it has L-theanine in it, which instead of just coming down in a crash, once once the caffeine's hit its peak and you have a very dark, very like steep crash, it allows it to kind of taper off very slowly. So it's pretty nice. Sometimes I'll still feel Celsius the next day after like sleeping. So I want to develop something that has the perfect ratio of adaptogens, nootropics, caffeine, and I think it could be the world's greatest energy drink, but it might be kind of expensive. I don't know. I'll see.
Yeah, would it be like an energy drink, or could it be a natural tea that could have all those ingredients as well?
It could be as well. I think one of the important things is the best source of caffeine is a coffee bean. There's like other sources, there's like green tea, there's guarana beans, but I don't think any of them beat the power of a coffee bean. Not to mention that coffee beans are also very healthy. Like a lot of people don't realize that it is almost a miracle food.
Right, yeah. So what are your thoughts on cannabis then?
I hate it.
You hate it?
I hate it.
Why do you hate it?
I think it has already a bad reputation for being associated with Rick and Morty atheists, low IQ Reddit boomers, and millennials, especially millennials, who abuse it in the same way that older generations probably abused alcohol. Except that weed actually also makes you retarded and gay and fat and lazy. There's basically like no real benefit. I've never seen or heard of any benefit to smoking weed. Now, the cannabis plant itself probably does have a lot of good medicinal properties from what I've heard, seen, done research on. However, that is never the intent that weed smokers have behind smoking weed. And it's addictive. People say it's not addictive. It is. Anything can be addictive. Anything, whether it has addictive chemicals or properties, can become addictive through personality traits and habits. And weed is especially one of those. Through the rush of dopamine and serotonin, you essentially build a neural pathway that creates an addiction, whether it's chemically based on the plant or not. And weed is especially harmful because, first of all, people say that it's not addictive when it is. It takes half your paycheck if you're a retarded boy cattle slave. It's crazy expensive anyway. And then, what do you do when you're off smoking weed? It doesn't necessarily help you in the same way that alcohol does to reduce inhibitions and make you kind of looser and clear-headed, level-minded. At least that's how I feel about wine. And beer probably doesn't do that either. But weed also has the added benefit of making you lazy, affecting your body in a way that will produce or hinder fat loss. So you literally are becoming fat and retarded. People talk about having the munchies, and they always eat like the most retarded boy cattle boy slop, like disgusting crap ever. They'll order like DoorDash Panda Express because they're too high to drive their car. And all in all, smoking weed, I've never seen it produce a healthy, well-driven mind. And even if it could, it's extremely rare, so most people should avoid it because most people are already retarded as it is.
That's true. You think we all have a touch of the autism?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. That's a good question. One of the first uses, like when the word autism was kind of still new, John C. Calhoun had run the experiment, the famous Mouse Universe 25 experiment, in which a group of mice were given the perfect environment with unlimited food, resources, and their colony was allowed to grow. And in it, he did notice at the end, at the collapse of this civilization, and that's another conversation, but at the collapse of the civilization, he noticed that many of the mice who were newborn, who were just coming into society, exhibited traits of autism. Back then, autism was like a real, like identifiable antisocial, awkward social behavior. Not like it is today, where anybody can just say, "I have autism," and like a cute little quirk, to explain why they're retarded.
Okay.
But yeah, like autism was a real thing back then, and it was shown that obviously mice and humans aren't the same, but we can draw parallels to our society, the late stages of this society as we see it kind of collapsing, so to speak, and we see that. People are born with autism more often now. Born with autism, they exhibit more autistic traits now. It's even possible, as we've seen in some behavioral studies, that people who are not autistic will take on autistic traits from their autistic siblings, like masking or like stimming, which this person isn't even autistic, but they've learned to behave and act autistic as part of kind of a social behavioral like imprint that they've kind of imprinted on. So
right.
I think that in our society, in our generation, Generation Z, the amount of chemicals that are in our food or water, even prenatally while we're in the womb, the amount of chemicals and vaccines that we're given as children, the amount of other heavy metals and toxins that accumulate in our brains, and the amount of social behaviors and just like retardisms, like watching Disney Channel, they do develop a sense. Yeah, Coco Melon, especially with the like Gen Alpha, like the very much younger generation.
Yeah.
We do, I think, see a form of autism exhibited in higher frequencies and higher rates. And it's very rarely the good kind of autism, like Rain Man, where you can like you have photographic memory and can do math well. It's always like awkward, afraid, so, like inability to talk to women, inability to take risks. It creates a kind of caricature of what could be a human male most often. In women, I think because women are socially bound to sort of a monolithic kind of behavior from women in society, even when they are autistic, they're much better at masking it than neurotypical men.
Okay, wow, didn't know that. I feel like it's kind of all by design. I don't know what your take is on that, but I used to be a substitute teacher, shout out Idea, and it seemed like, in my opinion, we were basically constructing retards, because all these young children they didn't really know how to like just do basic things like, hey, don't pee your pants, like, hey, come over here and don't nod off because you have ADHD. And then they get tested and examined at a young age, which I didn't really get. So the fact that the technology has advanced and them being inputted early into their age is kind of like fucking things up, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And it's also never really been the goal of the school system to develop children very well, right? And this goes back in, like you said, it's by design. Well, it's true. The school system has only ever been designed to do one thing, and that's create good workers, right? It's never been to develop a person's identity, develop a person's intellect, develop a person's imagination, develop a person's personal relationship with the Christian faith or their family or society, but always to create obedient and disciplined workers, which is kind of exactly what he would want. Society doesn't want to create visionaries and geniuses. It wants to create obedient slaves. Yep. And so, that is by design.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, it was a great conversation, bro. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah, of course, man.
It was lovely. We did
appreciate it, man.
Close to an hour, yeah. But thank you, man. Let me just